You have probably heard the saying, "The moment you stop chasing, they start running after you." Ever noticed how the second you pull back or lose interest, someone suddenly becomes more attentive, more engaged, and even more unpredictable? It is frustrating, is not it? You are left wondering why they seem to show up more when you are already checked out. If you have ever been caught in this confusing cycle, you are not alone. In this video, we are diving deep into how a woman reacts when she realizes you have lost interest and why these behaviors can leave you feeling stuck. Stay tuned. Number 1. She becomes more attentive. When a woman realizes you have lost interest, it often triggers an instinctual shift in her behavior. People who fail to understand the psychology behind this reaction may find themselves confused or frustrated. They might wonder why someone who seemed disinterested before is now suddenly engaging more. The reality is that women are naturally attuned to emotional shifts in their relationships. When attention fades, they experience a sense of loss and will often become more attentive as a means of regaining that lost connection. This is not merely a random behavior, but rather a way to reassert control in the dynamic. When she notices the emotional distance, she will likely begin paying closer attention to your words and actions. She may ask you about your day or initiate more conversations than she used to. It is common for her to engage more with you on social media or compliment you in ways she had not done previously. These actions are not just signs of missing your presence. They are a calculated attempt to restore the bond and capture your attention once again. Research on social dynamics suggests that individuals tend to seek validation from those they feel have withdrawn or lost interest in them. This shift in behavior serves to recapture the emotional space she once occupied in your life. According to psychological studies, this increased attention is rooted in the need for social validation. A 2013 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people become more attentive and engaged when they feel a shift in their social connection. Women, in particular, are known to use attentiveness as a means of re-establishing emotional equilibrium when a relationship dynamic changes. Philosophers like Aristotle even touched on the importance of attention in human relationships, suggesting that our connections with others are often maintained by the energy and focus we invest in them. In practical terms, when you withdraw your attention, the woman is likely to seek a renewed connection by becoming more engaged, testing if she can reignite your interest. Real-life practical advice for handling this situation involves maintaining emotional composure. It is easy to fall back into old patterns and reward her attentiveness with your immediate interest. However, doing so might reverse the power dynamic that you have begun to reshape. Instead, continue to focus on your priorities and goals. Let her initiate further interactions and do not overcompensate for the attention she is now providing. This strategy allows you to keep control of the situation while also signaling that your attention is not easily earned. By staying composed and not rushing to reassure her, you send the message that your emotional energy is valuable and not given away freely. Number 2. She tests your resolve. Once a woman realizes that you have lost interest, she may begin testing your resolve. People who are unaware of this psychological tactic might be caught off guard or even feel manipulated. However, understanding the reasoning behind this behavior can help you respond effectively. When someone senses emotional distance, they might feel insecure or threatened. In this case, a woman will often test whether your disinterest is temporary or permanent. She may do this by pushing your boundaries or by engaging in behaviors that challenge your emotional commitment. Testing your resolve can take many forms. She might start asking questions about your feelings and whether you still care. She may make subtle comments about how things have changed or how she feels differently about the relationship. These actions are designed to gauge your emotional investment and see if your disinterest is truly as deep as it seems. If she senses even the slightest hesitation or uncertainty in your response, she may take it as an opportunity to reel you back in. This is a common behavior rooted in the need for validation and emotional security. Research shows that when a person feels their emotional connection is being threatened, they will often attempt to re-establish that connection by testing the other person of commitment. In fact, research from the University of California suggests that people in relationships often use emotional testing as a way to verify the stability of the bond. A 2017 study published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that individuals who perceive a decline in emotional connection are more likely to initiate tests that seek reassurance. These tests serve as a way to regain control over the relationship and assess whether the other person still values them. This concept has been echoed by many philosophers, including Friedrich Nietzsche, who argued that human behavior is often driven by a need to test boundaries and assert one's worth. From a practical standpoint, when faced with these tests, it is important to stay firm in your stance. Avoid being swayed by emotional manipulation and stick to your own understanding of the situation. If you have genuinely lost interest, take time to reflect on why this shift has occurred and whether you are willing to invest in rekindling the connection. It is essential to maintain clarity in your responses and not give in to emotional pressure. Show that you are unaffected by her attempts and that your emotions are not easily changed. This way you preserve your integrity while also signaling that emotional commitment requires more than just a momentary change in behavior. Number 3. She becomes emotionally unpredictable. As a woman realizes that you have lost interest, she may become emotionally unpredictable. People who do not understand why emotions fluctuate may find it difficult to deal with this erratic behavior. It is important to recognize that emotional unpredictability is a common response to a perceived loss of connection in any relationship. When someone feels distant or disconnected, they may react with emotions ranging from anger and frustration to sadness or even anxiety. These emotional swings are often driven by the fear of rejection and the uncertainty of the future. A woman might react in ways that seem out of character as she tries to process the shift in the relationship. One moment, she may act distant and cold as if she no longer cares, and the next, she may be overly affectionate or attentive. These mood swings are not necessarily a reflection of how she truly feels, but rather an attempt to make sense of the situation. She may be experiencing confusion about the relationship dynamics and may struggle to understand why you have pulled away. This emotional unpredictability is a form of emotional turbulence, and it is rooted in insecurity and the need for reassurance. Psychological studies show that emotional instability often arises when someone faces emotional vulnerability. According to a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology by researchers at the University of Texas, emotional fluctuations are most common when individuals feel a threat to their emotional stability. In situations where a person perceives that their connection with another person is diminishing, they may react in unpredictable ways as they try to regain control. This phenomenon is particularly prevalent in relationships where one party feels emotionally invested but senses that the other has withdrawn. In practical terms, if you encounter emotional unpredictability, it is important to stay calm and not mirror the same behavior. Avoid reacting impulsively or emotionally to her outbursts. Instead, focus on maintaining a sense of emotional stability yourself. It is essential to remain clear in your communication and avoid fueling the emotional chaos. If the relationship has reached a point where emotional instability is becoming frequent, it may be a sign that it is time to have an honest conversation. Discussing your feelings openly and respectfully can help bring clarity to the situation and prevent further emotional turmoil. Number 4. She tries to reignite your interest. When a woman realizes that you have lost interest in her, she may try to reignite that spark by initiating efforts to win back your attention. This may be evident through various actions that she takes to remind you of the person she is and the connection you once shared. The desire to regain your interest may manifest itself in different ways, such as making more of an effort with her appearance or trying to create more opportunities to spend time together. She may even become more engaging or enthusiastic in conversations, hoping that this will reignite the connection that once existed between you both. People who are aware of their partner of emotional investment may recognize that when attention is lost, they tend to act in ways that are designed to recapture that attention. It can be an instinctive response driven by the fear of being abandoned or left behind. The belief is that if she can do something that reminds you of the connection or attraction you once shared, it will bring you back to her emotionally. This desire to reignite your interest can stem from the natural human need for validation and affection. It is common for someone who feels emotionally connected to seek reassurance when they sense that this connection is fading. Research in psychology indicates that people often try to regain lost affection by displaying behaviors that are likely to increase emotional closeness. According to a study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships by researchers at the University of Michigan, individuals who perceive that they have lost the emotional connection in a relationship will often attempt to engage in activities or behaviors that they believe will bring back the emotional bond. These behaviors are aimed at creating positive emotions that will rekindle the initial feelings of attraction and connection. In relationships where one person feels neglected or emotionally distant, they may try to alter their actions or behavior in hopes of regaining the lost attention. In terms of practical advice, if you notice that someone is making an effort to reignite your interest, it is important to evaluate whether you genuinely feel the same way. If you are no longer interested in the relationship or have lost the emotional connection, it may be best to communicate your feelings honestly and respectfully. Leading someone on or encouraging false hope can create further emotional harm for both parties. On the other hand, if you find that the efforts to reconnect are sincere and you feel open to giving the relationship another chance, it is important to be clear about your intentions and ensure that both individuals are on the same page. Being transparent about your feelings is key to moving forward in a healthy way. Number 5. She plays mind games. When a woman realizes that you have lost interest in her, she may resort to playing mind games in an attempt to regain control of the situation. Mind games are a way of testing your emotions and reactions in order to gauge your true feelings. She may try to confuse you by sending mixed signals or using tactics to evoke a response from you. These games can take many forms, such as acting distant or pretending to be uninterested in you to make you feel unsure of her feelings. The idea is to create uncertainty in your mind, which may lead you to re-evaluate your feelings towards her. People who do not receive the emotional attention they expect in relationships may resort to these tactics as a form of self-preservation. When someone feels vulnerable or threatened by the possibility of losing someone, they may turn to mind games as a way to manipulate the situation in their favor. These tactics are often born out of insecurity and the fear of being abandoned. Rather than directly confronting the loss of attention or affection, the individual may engage in behaviors that are intended to confuse the other person and spark their interest once again. Psychological studies have shown that mind games are often employed as a way to create emotional tension in a relationship. According to research published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, individuals who are insecure about their relationships tend to use indirect methods to get attention or affection. Mind games are a common tactic used to manipulate emotions because they create a sense of uncertainty and intrigue, which can make the other person more likely to engage or chase after the attention they once had. The psychology behind these tactics relies on the principle of unpredictability, which is known to make individuals more invested in trying to figure out what is going on. In terms of practical advice, it is important to recognize when mind games are being played and address the situation directly. If you find yourself being manipulated or confused by someone's actions, it is essential to communicate openly and honestly about your feelings. Mind games may initially seem like a way to keep things interesting or to gauge someone's interest, but they rarely lead to a healthy resolution. Instead of engaging in the cycle of mind games, it is better to have a candid conversation about your intentions and feelings. Clear and honest communication is the most effective way to address any uncertainty and ensure that both individuals are on the same page. Number 6. She attempts to reassert dominance. When a woman realizes that you have lost interest in her, she may attempt to reassert dominance in the relationship. This can manifest in various ways, such as trying to regain control of the situation or attempting to remind you of her value. She may engage in behaviors that signal her confidence or attempt to re-establish her position in your life. This could include becoming more assertive in her actions or words, or making it clear that she is not easily forgotten. By doing this, she seeks to remind you that she is still in control and that her worth has not diminished. People who fail to maintain their position of dominance in relationships may feel the need to regain control when faced with the fear of losing someone. In this case, the person may act in ways that are intended to re-establish their sense of power and influence. This could involve shifting the dynamic in their favor by asserting themselves more forcefully or creating situations where they are seen as desirable or in charge. The need to reassert dominance often stems from an insecurity or fear of losing power in the relationship and can be an attempt to protect the ego or sense of self-worth. Research in the field of psychology suggests that dominance and control are often central themes in relationships. According to a study published in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin, people may engage in behaviors designed to maintain dominance when they feel that their position in a relationship is threatened. These behaviors can range from subtle gestures of control to more overt actions that force the other person to acknowledge their presence and importance. The motivation behind this is often a desire to restore a sense of balance in the relationship and protect one of emotional investment. To deal with this situation, it is important to remain calm and avoid being drawn into power struggles. If you notice that someone is attempting to reassert dominance, it is essential to maintain your own sense of self-worth and not be swayed by manipulative tactics. Stand firm in your feelings and make it clear that you are not easily influenced by attempts to control the dynamic. The key is to maintain healthy boundaries and not allow someone else's desire for dominance to dictate the course of the relationship. It is important to recognize that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding rather than the need to assert control over one another. Number 7. She pursues. When a woman realizes that you have lost interest in her, she may begin to pursue you more actively. This pursuit can take many forms, from reaching out to you more frequently to trying to rekindle the connection that was once there. She might show up in places where she knows you will be or engage in behaviors that remind you of the good times you shared. The goal of this pursuit is to win back your attention and affection in the hopes of reigniting the spark that has seemingly faded. People who find themselves in situations where they feel their partner has lost interest often react by taking a more proactive approach in an attempt to regain that person's attention. This is especially true in romantic relationships where emotional investment is high. The pursuit is often a reflection of the fear of losing the person entirely and a desire to restore the connection that was once present. In some cases, the individual may even go above and beyond to prove their worth and remind the other person of the value they bring to the relationship. Research suggests that when someone feels their relationship is threatened or that their partner is pulling away, they may increase their efforts to regain the other person of affection. According to a study conducted by the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, people tend to amplify their behaviors when they feel that their emotional bond is at risk. This can lead to increased attention and efforts to reconnect with the other person in hopes of reigniting the relationship. However, this pursuit may not always be successful, and in some cases it may push the other person further away if it feels forced or insincere. If you find yourself in a situation where someone is pursuing you after you have lost interest, it is important to approach the situation with care. Acknowledge the other person's feelings, but be honest about where you stand. Avoid leading them on or giving false hope, as this can cause further emotional pain. At the same time, it is essential to maintain your own boundaries and ensure that you are not manipulated into rekindling a relationship that no longer aligns with your desires or needs. Communication is key, and being clear about your feelings can help prevent confusion and unnecessary emotional strain for both parties. It is crucial to prioritize your own emotional well-being while being respectful and considerate of the other person's feelings. We are almost done with this video, but before you move on, I want you to reflect on your life. Are you going to stay stuck feeling drained and defeated, or are you ready to take charge and transform your future? If you are ready to make that change, I want you to make a commitment. Drop a comment below and say, "I am determined to live my best life no matter the obstacles. I will succeed." I will be reading through all your comments, and I will feature the most inspiring one on our channel. If you want more life-changing content, make sure to hit that subscribe button.